Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Bláithín here from A Style of Living. As many of you will know, I'm a retired wedding planner and author, and for over 15 years I essentially worked from home and ran my business from this space here. At the the height of my business, there could be up to 5 people here in my house or in the office. And I expect with a lot of people now having the option or having to work from home over the coming weeks and months as the coronavirus spreads and we try to curtail that, I thought it might be a good idea to share with you some suggestions, ideas, and things that you should definitely do in order to improve your productivity and success when working at home. Because I know initially when I went from an office environment to working for myself and working alone, there were some challenges I hadn't foreseen. As with all my tips, these are in no particular order. I kind of think a lot of them are as important as each other. I have tried to include suggestions if you are specifically at home because obviously childcare is no longer available to you. So trying to keep that in mind, but also for people who might just be at home because they are self-isolating themselves or too anxious to go into their office or work environment. So my first tip is to establish a work zone or space in your home. I have the luxury of having a purpose office. Not everybody will, but to have a section or place, a desk somewhere in your home. I would strongly avoid this being your kitchen table, as this is a high traffic area, and every time that somebody in your home wants to eat or you need to prepare or serve up a meal, you'll have to clear everything away. So ideally this space or zone would be a purpose area where you can leave all your work things in a tidy location. My next tip, and this one can be a little bit challenging, especially at the start, is to get up and function as you normally would if you were going into your office or place of business. So this is to get up, have your breakfast, shower, get dressed, full on outdoor clothes, not a new set of pajamas, to make your bed, to proceed with your morning like you would as if you were actually going to leave your house and go outside and take a bus, a train, a car, or walk or cycle to work. This is really important to keep you in the psyche that you are actually going to work. It's not a holiday, it's just a very different way of doing things for the foreseeable future. When we're in a work office or work environment, in one sense, there exists a schedule of how things are done. You lose that when you're working from home. So I would strongly suggest to you that you really think about the types of tasks and the things that you do throughout your day, and you schedule out your day, very similar to how we would have done in school with our classes. So I personally love the system of scheduling called block scheduling, whereby you would divide up your day into blocks of time and assign a particular task or tasks to those blocks. So for example, types of things I would have put into blocks would be deal with correspondence like email and, at the time, faxes when I first started out, and letter correspondence, things like that. Then I would have also had a time for accounting. I would have had time for actually the planning of the wedding, and I would have broken that down into even smaller chunks as well. So dealing with suppliers, researching, designing, all of that sort of thing. So whatever your job, the categories it would break down into, and how you would perform those in a day, blocking those into time will keep you on track and on schedule. Unless it's part of your job, do not open any social media tabs or platforms on your laptop during your working hours. This will mean that you won't become diverted or obsessed with maybe a new thread, whether it relates to COVID-19 or the latest release in makeup. whatever it might be, don't give yourselves opportunities to get distracted from the task at hand, which is to do your job. Working from home is very different, and you are ultimately responsible for everything, and it can offer huge challenges because essentially not only do you have your work things on your mind, but you also have home life on your mind. And for those of you who are providing your own childcare, you also have those distractions, and perhaps the distraction of another half who's also trying to work from home. So I would strongly suggest that in order to keep everything on track or as manageable as possible, that when you're in your working mode, that you break your day up into 25 and 5-minute increments. So what I mean by that is, I've previously talked about block scheduling. So even within that, if you choose that route, you would break your time up into 25 and 5-minute increments. So you would work on a task or project for 25 minutes, setting a stopwatch or an alarm to alert you when the 25 minutes has passed, and then taking a 5-minute break. And it's really important to get up and leave your workspace or work zone and to take a break from that intensity. I would normally use this time to like put on a wash, empty the dishwasher, have a coffee, go work in the garden. Obviously, for those of you with kids at home, you might be setting the next task or checking what they're up to, you know, putting them down for a nap, whatever the case may be. So you really have to think about your whole day, but doing them in these smaller blocks will really help to keep you focused. And also for children who are slightly older, it may not be an unrealistic amount of time for them to occupy themselves with a task or an activity while you actually get some work done. Do not eat your meals at your desk. Your home is now your office, and your office is now your home. So you really need to think about clear divisions to keep your sanity. So eating meals at your desk, although perhaps commonplace in your work environment, don't do it when you're working from home. This next one is a really important one, especially to keep you sane after working hours, and that is at the end of every day is to write a to-do list or a task list for the next day. Basically a brain dump of everything that you need to get done or should have got done that day that didn't. This empties and frees your mind of all work-related issues that are going on, and it allows you to actually have some home time. It helps to really distinguish between work and home life, especially as both of them are now forced into happening in one space. It will be really helpful to you to identify your most productive time of day. For me, that's between 8 and 10 a.m. in the morning. On a good day, I could get up to 70% of my work done in that 2-hour period. I also found that for me, it was my least interrupted time of the day. Now, I appreciate for those with small kids, this is prime getting up, breakfast and getting the day started time. So it might not be the same time frame for you, but there will be a time of day that becomes your most productive work-wise. So identify this and use it to its maximum. In the event that, like me, you're able to get a substantial amount of work done in that small period of time, it will mean that all of those extra interruptions during the day that are bound to come from kids and other halves won't be as impactful on your to-do list. Always tidy your workspace or zone at the end of the day. Your workspace and work zone are now part of your home, so don't make them an eyesore that is irritating you when you're trying to relax at the end of your day. It's a good practice to get into of calling people later in the day or in the afternoon. It gives you both time to get those busy tasks and those important tasks done. It also is the time of the day where motivation can wane, and that sort of interaction with somebody else in a very similar environment can actually spur you on to get things done. And obviously you're calling them for a reason, so it will also help you with your work. I know a lot of people are probably freaking out, especially with being at home, trying to do an important job that normally takes you 8 to 9 hours a day, maybe even more. And now you've got to do it in your home with your kids and your other half, and that can feel very, very overwhelming. And you're probably wondering, how am I going to get everything done? Remember the old adage that if you want something done, ask a busy person. And so what you'll begin to notice is that you will actually become far more efficient and productive, not only with your work tasks, but also with your home tasks. So you will actually find this fantastic balance. It may take a few days, even a couple of weeks, but you will all find a fantastic balance where everything does get done. Doesn't necessarily mean it gets done, you know, first thing in the morning, but by the end of the day or the end of the week, you will actually see, wow, I've achieved a great deal, even though I had all of these extra things coming at me all of the time. I have a 5-month-old child, so I'm very fortunate in one sense in that while he needs a great deal of entertaining, he's not a walking, talking toddler or child who can really annoy or impact your day. And so what I would try to do if you have those older children is to explain to them the new situation that we all find ourselves in. It's going to be different for them too. They will have been used to being in school or in nursery or maybe a creche or something like that, where they will have had some form of structure anyway. So if you explain to them, and if you're using that 25 and 5-minute increments of work, 25 minutes for some children is not unrealistic to expect that maybe for the full time or for a majority of it, that they will entertain or sort of do a task or an activity themselves. So use that, or as much of that as they will allow, to your advantage. And obviously with time they will learn to do this better as well. So have open conversations with your children. Even if they are very, very young, they may not understand the whole lot of it, but with time, because children thrive on routine, they will learn what their new is. A really important one, and one I'm sure most of your businesses are making sure is going to happen naturally anyway, is to ensure that all of the IT infrastructure, documents, dossiers, whatever, programs, platforms, that you have access to them on whatever laptop, PC that you're using at home, and that you know how to access them and use them, and that they work for you in the way that they should. If they don't, do not be afraid to reach out, ask for better or for training on how to use it in this new environment. Talk to your manager about this as well, because ultimately if you don't have access to those things and they're not working for you in the way that they should, you won't be able to do your job, and both you and your employer will become frustrated. Finally, and this is another really important one, is to pick a definitive end to your day. When I first started working from home, because I worked at home and my office was here and my laptop was, say, always on, I had a tendency that even after the day finished, say around 5 or 6, that at sort of 10:30 or midnight, I would come in, check emails, remember something quickly, oh sure, I'll take care of that now. And there was a period of time in my work life where I was working literally all the hours God sent. And I had no social life, basically nothing outside of work. When you're working at home, it's very easy to get into that unwilling schedule. So don't allow it to creep in. Decide whatever your definitive end of day is going to be and stick to it. Now, bear in mind, Normally you may finish at 5 or 6 p.m. in the day, but because of all of the extra distractions and that you may face throughout the day, you may have to adjust your working day ever so slightly so that you do a block of work in the morning and a block of work maybe in the evening, just so that the kids don't drive you utterly insane. So work around that. And obviously if that's the way you've decided to do things, so you may be doing a couple of hours, say from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. and that's normally outside of the working hours of your business, do let your employers or immediate line managers know that this is how you feel it's best appropriate to give them the results they need. I hope you guys have found these tips useful. As I say, these are ones that helped me, my husband and my staff work from home here in our home office, but also in their own respective homes, because largely my staff worked remotely and we would come together when needed. So I'm very adept and sort of aware of what a lot of people might be going through right now. If you follow these tips, embrace them for your own specific situations, because I appreciate everybody's kind of new work life is going to be a challenge at the start. But they should definitely help for you to be productive and to get some, if not all of your work done every day. But by the end of the week, within a couple of weeks time, you should be back up to your full speed. Thank you so much for watching. The best of luck. If anybody has any questions or extra tips they'd like to add, please leave them in the comments below. I will see you in my next video, guys. I hope you're all staying safe and staying inside to keep everybody else safe. Thank you so much. Bye.